Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Visible Kindness. And today I have a fellow Canadian on the job, meaning on my show, on Visible Kindness. And her name is Christine Burke. I'm very excited to have fellow Canadians on the show. I don't know why, it's probably because I'm Canadian. That's what I am. And Canadians, we rock and roll. And it's great to have her here. We had a really nice visit before I hit record, which I like to do often. I love what she's doing. And I just like the conversation we had, because we're going to kind of redo the conversation here, because it made a big difference. Just hearing what she's done and what she's doing. She's called the Midlife Mom, and she helps other women. Now, if you're a woman that's in midlife, I am not a woman, but I am in midlife, and I seem to relate to quite a few of the things that you said.
Yeah.
But you are a stay-at-home mom, and you have been a stay-at-home mom for quite some time, and we're going to hear from her story on that. I like to hear where people have come from and what they're doing. But she's a certified coach, and she's an online entrepreneur, and she certainly is. And we're going to talk about that too. And she's helped hundreds of other women break through barriers in their midlife and master their confidence and build a body and lifestyle they love. And one of the things we were talking about before we hit record was just, I just turned 60, and I don't think you said how old you are. How old are you?
53.
Oh, you're a young lady. You're a young
Yeah, yeah,
lady still. You're like, just look at what happens when you get 60, like me. You start to lose it
yeah.
mentally. But it is really nice to have you here. I've really enjoyed just our conversation before we hit record. And it'd be great if you just tell us about yourself. And let's get started by getting some background from you and what you're doing, and why did you want to get a Invisible Kindness? Let's get the show rolling here.
Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you for having me. You're awesome. Just the last 10 minutes of chatting with you and all the things that you're doing. I'm really humbled and I'm really grateful. And the world needs more kindness. They need more people like you who are showing up every day out of the goodness of your heart. And really, it's all about impact, right? We want to impact people. And I think in a post COVID world, I was listening to Tony Robbins this morning in an interview, and he was saying how disengaged people have been since that happened, right? Like truly disengaged. It's such awesome work that you're doing. I am so flippin' excited for what's coming for you.
It's interesting because both of us are kind of on the same path. It's like everything you're doing has to do with kindness on many different levels, and focused on women, which is so great. And we're kind of motivated to want to do the same thing, and a lot has really happened since um, the COVID. The culture has really changed in a lot of different ways. And like it or not, politics have changed everything as well. There's so much shifting going on everywhere. And with kindness, what I like about it, and it really relates to what you're doing. It doesn't matter where you are politically. It doesn't matter, where you are with your life and your faith, what you believe in and what you don't. Kindness is what we all need together, and that's what's really making what people are really hungry for. And I love what you're doing. So what do you? Actually, I don't want to ask what you do yet, but give us some more of your background. And I love what you were telling me about where you came from, what you're doing before the show. So maybe I should hit record back then, but it'd be great. It'd be great if you just share that with people to get
Yeah,
where you come from.
absolutely. Yeah, so I'm born and raised in Canada, grew up in Toronto, had a great childhood, fortunate, great parents. And somewhere along the way, I met my husband. And well, he wasn't my husband yet, obviously, but met him. And long story short, he ended up going over to Australia. And so after I finished my second degree, I followed him over there, up to my parents' dismay. And they were like, "No, it's so far away." It really is far away, but like awesome
Yeah.
place to live. So we built a life there. And I've got three kids. So my eldest is 19, my youngest is 14. And when I had my kids, I was really fired up to stay at home. We made a decision, Stacy and I, and he, supported me in being a stay-at-home mom. And that's really what I wanted. I was just like, I'm not missing a thing, right? And it was a lot of that was for me. I think a lot of women are afraid to kind of say that, but it was like that was me. Like I wanted to take that role. I wanted to have that experience. So, and then I like similar to you've had some network marketing experience in your life, right? And I remember just sitting there. I had like one baby on the boob, the boys racing around. And she looked at me and she said, "These are great products. And you could also make money from home." And I was like, "Wait, what?" And then immediately that like whole sales fear thing just like blew up. And I was like, "I can't sell anything." Anyway, so, but what she said really hit me. And I thought, wow, like, could I actually build something and, be a stay-at-home mom so that I could, contribute financially? And so that's kind of how it all started. And then it just morphed into different things. Obviously, social media changed the game with everything,
Oh
right?
yeah, oh yeah,
And
and it's
like,
changing more and more as we go.
yeah, yeah. So I've been a stay-at-home mom, for well, my eldest is 19 now, right? So, and so it started with network marketing and the home meetings, and I love that industry. It
So
taught
let
me
me
so.
ask you, because I mean, I'm not in
Yeah.
network marketing anymore, and I was, and my best man, because I was married, he was like I met him when I was like I think I was 24, and he was the world overall champion at barefoot water skiing.
Oh,
And he only had a high school education, and he'll tell you straight up, I'm not that smart, and he's, I
yeah.
get what he means. He's not college educated. He was a sports guy. Well, he got into Amway the same time I did, and this is way back. This is way back. I mean, I didn't even know if the internet was around. Yeah, I guess it was barely, but it was in like the early like 1989, 1990, and he did well, I did well, but I ended up getting out of it. But he ended up getting in two different network marketing businesses, and today, you know, I mean, it was his drive. I mean, not drive, but he was good at it. So him and his wife are like multi millionaires. They got the Lamborghini and the house,
Yeah.
and and he's just such a nice guy, and it really suits him well. It doesn't suit everybody, but it's just a business model, and you got to go after what suits you. So I'm curious. Now that I've told you what I did, what did you do?
Well, I started with a company called Isogenics.
I've heard that.
So, yeah. And so my husband at the time was a chiropractor. And the lady that we connected with was a patient of his. And she, brought, as you do, brought him some information on products. And of course, he put it away, not interested. But I was looking to lose weight. I just had 3 kids and I was thinking, oh, this is really hard. Anyway, so that's how it started. And really gained an appreciation for health and wellness, for supplements. And I think for a lot of people, even who don't stay in the industry, it is the lowest risk, lowest cost way for the average person to learn how to be an entrepreneur,
Yeah,
for
I
the average
agree.
person to learn how to be a business person. And that's what it gave me, right? It's a personal development program with a compensation plan attached, right? That's what
Yeah,
we
that
say.
well
And
said. I
and it's so
agree.
true, right?
Yeah.
I learned how to speak, like to stand up in, front of a crowd and speak. I learned how to network. I learned sales, so it was a really cool place to start. And it really sparked this whole desire to be involved with women and impacting women and the confidence piece and obviously the health and wellness and all of that, because we're very rooted in that. My husband, was semi-professional triathlete, chiropractor. We
Hmm.
are very health driven in our whole family. So that's kind of, yeah, that's kind of where everything started. And then,
Hmm.
the social media just kind of changed
Yeah,
the
but
whole
it's
thing.
still doing. It's going to do that now that AI is out. It's going to go wild. It's
Yeah, yeah.
everything's wild. So tell us how you got moving in this area of combining being an online entrepreneur and teaching people and helping other women in this. It's a very unique space and a very strong niche that you've dove into, which I like how when people find something that really reflects who they are,
Mm.
and where they are in life. And after looking at everything you do and following you, it's that's exactly what's happening in your life. And if I was a woman, I would be very interested in finding out more about what you're doing and how you can help, because you're very down to earth, you're very natural, and you're absolutely brilliant with the content that you're putting out and what you have to offer people. So I'm just curious to know more, just like what how that works for what you're doing. So
Yeah.
like what your business is all about. How does it work?
Yeah, so the network marketing thing continued for a while. Like I went on to a different health and wellness company simply because they were really leveraging social media, and so I did a bit of a switch there. And then I decided to train. Right, I was like, okay, I need some. I've got like what 6 years of formal education, but I need some. I wanted a coaching certification, some business training. So I kind of moved into that. And then the idea of building a brand became very important to me, right? And a
Yes.
lot of people have businesses, but they don't have a brand, or they're in network marketing, but they don't have a brand. So that whole brand building process began, which is awesome, and so important, right? Like you are your brand, and I don't care what you do, even if you have a job, you still have a brand, right? Anyway, so yeah, so then for a while, I was really focusing on helping women with social media, right? So always did a little bit of network marketing. I do more affiliate sort of marketing now. And the whole social media strategy, I did that for a long time, which again has a confidence piece. It has a mindset piece, right? Learning how to actually put yourself out there on social media in a real, authentic way, to really, solidify what your message is and how you want to help people and what are the problems that you solve, that kind of thing. And then I hit menopause and I was like, holy, what is going
Really?
on right now? Um, like my mom said that I get a hot flash or two. And it's a lot more than just a hot flash or two, right? And so that was a whole new experience for me. And I thought, this is where I have to be right now because this is where I am. And I want to help people. I want to help women, specifically in midlife, move through this because gosh, it's a poop show. This stage physiologically for women, mentally, it's a change in brain chemistry. A lot of women put on weight unexpectedly, like doing nothing different. And all of a sudden, I've stacked on 20 pounds. Confidence takes a hit, sex life, libido, all sorts of crazy things. And doctors in the main are not equipped. They do not learn. And you can look this up. This is all, straight from, stats, whatever, science, but they don't learn how to, and I don't like the word treat, but they don't learn how to manage this for women. They don't know. Like my GP, who I don't see that often, he's awesome. But I said bioidentical hormones, and he had no idea what I was talking about. What's that? So, thankfully now the conversation is bigger. There are women on social media like, doctors, OBGYNs, nutritionists, all talking about menopause now, which has
See, this is the
only
great thing
been,
about where we're at in this day and
yeah,
age. I mean, you can't, there isn't a single topic you can imagine that is not being
yeah,
dealt with or
yeah,
talked about or followed or
yeah,
that people are, and I think it's great. I mean, I think it's really, really great. Uh, I mean, we all find things on social media now that are of benefit to us, and you don't always have to buy a master class. Um, Although I have in the past, I'm glad I did because that's not those are things you learn as well, and clearly you
absolutely.
have. I can tell by looking at your content and hearing, listening to you. You've got some very good experience. I've been around a few women that went through menopause, my mom and my sister for sure, and a couple of friends, and I was like, what is wrong? Like, I
Yeah.
felt so bad for them because I was like, come on, it's like, come on, yeah, being a horrible male. But I understand it now, what it's like, and it's a big deal. It's not, I can't even imagine going through that and going through that shift and looking at what you've done and how you're helping other women. I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. I mean, and you like we have conversations, we connect with people, we talk to people all the time, right? You do the same thing, and it's some of the things that women are going through. It's crazy, right? Some women just sail through it, right?
Right,
It's
right,
just
yeah,
like,
yeah.
woo, no problem,
Yeah.
whatever. But it's something that over half of the global population will experience, right? Like 51% of the entire world's people will experience menopause, right?
But
It's
it's a few
crazy.
billion.
It's kind of a big deal, and it's a big deal for support. It's a big deal for the workplace. It's a big deal for relationships, families, right? Because we're all important, but women have a unique role, right? For a lot of women, they are the emotional support of a home. I know that I am, and I love that. I wanted it, and here I am. But it's difficult when you're going through this crazy transition, right? We're like trying to hold it all together, and at the same time, I like to say, estrogen goes down, and estrogen is the nurturing hormone. It's the hormone that gets released when we have children, and it makes us sensitive and nurturing, and it goes down at this age. So a lot of
That's
women are like,
amazing.
I don't care anymore. And then they're like, oh my gosh, I shouldn't say that, or I shouldn't feel that. I feel guilty. And it's like, well, but that's part of the physiological change, right? So it's so many things. And but yeah, like you said, I mean, the conversation is it's like the can has been opened. But then the challenge is for a lot of women is, well, what do I do? Do I go on HRT? Do I not? How do I exercise? How do I eat? There's always been quick fix diet sort of approaches to things. And so from that, that's where I sort of landed. And I said, okay, I know what I did when I lost 30 pounds after I had my children. And what I did was I focused on what I call the core fundamental sets of habits that are always the equation, regardless of what age and stage you're at, but it's how you eat, how you move, how you think, and how you supplement. And women in this time in menopause and midlife, it's a combination of those things. We have to do things differently, right? The eating healthy thing, like what is that? I mean, what does
So
that actually, what does
I would
that even
imagine. So
mean?
I wanted to ask you: Are you like when you are you through the whole process now? I would imagine. Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because, and it took me a while to learn this too, is that there's no official starting point to menopause. That's the before bit. You just start changing, right? Periods become irregular. You start, it's the change.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then you get to a point where you've gone 12 months with no cycle. And at that moment, boom, you're menopausal. And then from then on, you're postmenopausal. So I'm postmenopausal. That's where I'm at. But the physiological stuff doesn't change, right? There's still it's a biological change, right? A lot of I try and encourage us to not describe it as a disease with
No,
symptoms, right? But this is how the
it's a
narrative is,
stage in
right?
life. I mean, that's what I'm
It
thinking of. It's a stage in life. That's all.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're supposed to go through it at some point. We are supposed to get to that point where we are not having babies anymore, and we're supposed to be doing other things, right? So, yeah.
Well, when you go through adolescence, when you go through, I can't even remember what it's called anymore. When you're
Puberty,
what is it?
puberty.
Yeah, when you go through puberty.
Yeah,
Thanks. I didn't have children either, so I totally forgot lots of things. But yeah, puberty is a whole. You can't. It's not a mental health issue. It's a phase in life for sure.
yeah,
And definitely I mean, even a lot of things you're saying. are positive no matter what you're going through in life, but definitely need to be really focused on depending on what it is you're going through. I'm curious because I like it. It's really it really is a kindness focused um, um, thing that you're doing because you care about what other people are going through and finding ways to help them improve and overcome these things. I don't know if the overcome is the right word, but so how did you like share with us like the start of what you decided to do and how you started to grow it and where you're at with that?
Yeah, so I just sort of shifted changed the conversations that I was having, right? And so we call it, in entrepreneurial world, we call it a pivot, right? We just pivot in our marketing, our mission. It's pivoting the problem. So whereas the problem I was solving before was more around, strategy, right? Business strategy, and that I just shifted because I was like, if I'm going through this right now and I'm struggling, then there are so many women out there that are going through this as well. And the more conversations I was having, the more I realized that, like, holy moly, this isn't just about, the occasional hot flash, right? That your grandmother might have told you, oh, you'll get some hot flashes, right? And so then I really started moving back into the coaching space and started to create some digital courses for women to be able to access. And yeah, just sort of got back into seeing clients and really that more connected way of doing business. I did pick up a product. I started using medicinal mushrooms not that long ago. And really, just because my girlfriend had said to me, oh, if you've got brain fog, which is a big part of menopause, right? Brain fog, mood, right? The whole thing. A lot of women are actually diagnosed with clinical depression, but it's actually menopause, right? Anyway,
Ah,
so yeah, I know it's crazy, right? They're prescribed antidepressants when they probably need some HRT, maybe, or I don't know.
right.
But so that's something also and it's a tool, right? I feel like I help women build their menopause toolbox, right? So that's another big thing that I do like to promote and to help women with, because mushrooms are amazing. If you don't know anything about mushrooms, they have a
When you say
huge,
that, when you
yeah,
say that,
yeah,
the only time I think of mushrooms is when I used to
yeah,
take them when
not
I was
those
a
kinds.
teenager. Those were not good to take.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Although you can get those, they are legal in some states, and
Is
people
that what you're talking
microdose.
about?
No, I'm not
Oh,
talking
okay.
about those. Yeah.
Okay,
So
good.
not the hallucinogenic kind.
Yeah.
So the part of the mushroom without that, but they have a huge influence on the brain. Like if you
Huh.
go and research mushrooms, like they're an incredible
I need
plant,
to do
really,
that.
truly. Yeah, yeah. And so really it's just building the toolbox and, offering solutions. And, every woman in menopause needs some kindness. Like they truly need some
Oh, I
extra
can imagine.
kindness and TLC, right? Because it's really hard. And a lot of women at this stage are also managing teenagers, right? Like me. So my youngest is 14. She's amazing. She's challenging right now. Like she's awesome, but it's like, wow. So you got the menopause on the one side, and then you got all of the challenges and hurdles. And because when your kids get to this age, right, you're dealing with like adult stuff, right? And you kind of think, oh, I thought it was really hard when they were toddlers and they were running around and you know, and now we're talking about sex, drugs, and rock and roll. It's
Yeah.
kind of like, whoa. So yeah.
Well, I was just thinking, one of the things that's on your Facebook page, I wish I was at that. I mean, I'm a Christian man and everything, but I'll tell you, I would have. You went to ACDC concert.
Yeah.
That was just incredible. I mean, and I like how the audience was our age for the most part. That's what it looked like.
Yes.
What an amazing group of men that they are, that are yeah, it's incredible. I've watched a lot of documentaries on who they are, and it's really a great group. It's not what I thought they were like when I was a teenager. I thought they were all, you know, whatever,
Yeah.
not good
Yeah.
people, but they're really amazing, amazing
They
men,
are. They
incredible.
are. It was a great show. I mean,
That's not what the
the
podcast is
next day
about, but
we were.
What's
absolutely
that?
destroyed. I just said the next day we were like
Oh, I can
really
imagine. Oh, yeah.
tired, right?
It's incredible that they're still doing it. Because
I
I was thinking
know.
about that. I was looking, I know this is like totally off topic, but it was a humongous audience there. There were what?
Yeah,
There were tens of thousands of people there.
absolutely.
And it was just like, oh my gosh, for them to go up at the age that they're at and do what they're doing, and the audience to go and do it as well at their age was just phenomenal. What a great thing. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
I would love to see, totally off topic, way out there. I would love to see Rush, a Canadian, that Canadian group, but
Me
they
too.
don't have Neil Peart anymore. So
Yeah,
this is
yeah.
so sad. But anyway, I wanted to ask you. So I like your website. I like your landing page. It's a really great picture of you. I love how you've built this and what your offers are. If I was a woman, even if I wasn't going through menopause, I'd be interested in what you do because you have so much to offer. You have motherhood. I'm looking at your website, right? So it's motherhood, menopause, and mayhem podcast. Listen here. You've
Mhm.
got midlife power play masterclass. Watch the masterclass. You've got lose weight faster by eating more protein, free guide. Get the free guide and click and tell you what the buttons are. You guys need to go and see this website she has. The Forever Fat Loss Bundle for women done with starting over. Get the bundle. I like that. Fuel up your body, fire up your metabolism. This is so great what you're doing. Women really do need this. Mushrooms for menopause. Rise, vibe, and feel good now. This is so good, Christine, what you're doing. And I like you have work with me, unlock your full potential, and the Midlife Makeover Collective, the community for women looking for to redefine their change. Tips, tools, and support. This is join the collective. This is a really great landing page that you have, and the
Thanks.
explanation of who you are. It's great. I love what you're doing. So if I was a female going through midlife crisis and I'm looking at your website, I'm thinking I'd be very interested in the master class for sure. And I'd also be interested in connecting with you, right? So how does that work? Like, like if you're if you saw me as somebody in need that likes what you're offering, what would you say to me to get the best thing for me that you can tell by listening to me?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, for me, I mean, it's always a connection first, right? So the first thing I always do is try and get people off of the messenger and onto a phone call or onto a Zoom, right?
Yes.
Because, it's not about me. It's not even about my offers. It's about what
Yeah.
she needs,
I
right?
feel the
It's
same
about
way.
like what is the problem that she has, and can I solve it, and how can I help her with it, through what I have to offer her, right? And so and it really depends on where people are at, right? This, I mean, I coach. There's obviously a higher price point when you work one-on-one with somebody,
Yeah.
um, but generally, it does increase rates of success, like way up to 95%. Accountability is huge, right?
Yeah.
And having somebody to work with you one on one, I do love that. That's my favorite thing because you can
Yeah.
really
Same
get,
here. Yeah.
yeah, you can get into somebody and what they really want and, dig deep and create a plan
Yes.
that's personal to them, right?
Yeah.
Other people aren't ready for that, right? So that's why, I have the freebies on there. So the podcast is awesome. I run that with a business friend of mine, Carla, and we have an absolute blast every week. It's hilarious. We love it. We have so much fun. And so, yeah, the master class is a great place to start. That's basically teaching women about the cortisol piece. So a lot of women in menopause struggle with high cortisol, and that's because estrogen controls cortisol, being the stress hormone, right? So partner that natural state where cortisol, for a lot of women, not all, are naturally higher, right? And then we throw in all the teenagers and the stresses and everything, and it has a lot to do with this weight gain, the weight gain around the belly and how we feel, the lack of sleep. So that masterclass is really good because I just share some really simple ways that you can start to bring that cortisol down, right? My Forever Fat Loss Bundle is great. Those are like a bundle of all my courses. I've got bonuses in there, a self-care plan, how to create a self-care plan, a workout plan. And those are all, it's really what I do is what I'm most passionate about doing is helping women build the habits they need so that they don't have to start over, right? So I get it. There's detoxes, cleanses, 5-day resets. All of those things have a place for sure. But
Yeah.
if you can learn the core, what I call the core four fundamental habits around diet, exercise, mindset, and supplementation, then we know what to do. Right now, is it a sexy quick fix like, oh, I'm going to lose a gazillion pounds in 2 minutes? No, sorry, that's not how it works, right? But if you can master these habits, because a lot of women are doing these things already. I'm exercising, I'm eating right. And I say, well, what does your exercise look like? If you're, going for a walk 3 times a week, that's great, but it's not enough. You need to lift weights, heavy weights. That's what you need to be doing at 50, at 55, at
Oh
60,
yes. Oh yeah.
right? I eat healthy and I get lots of protein. Well, what does that look like? Like, what is eating healthy? That's not like you got to get intentional. You got to actually, you can't
Absolutely.
change what you can't change what you're not tracking, right? So this is for me, it's just this idea of habits and mastering habits, and that's hard, right? It is hard for a lot of us because it requires discipline. But once like I have a client right now who's, she is maybe about a third of the way in her goal to her weight loss, but she feels amazing and she knows what to do, right? She's like, I know what to do now. I know how to eat. I know, the kind of exercise that I need to be doing every day, and I have the discipline to do it, right? And I'm thinking, okay, that's the best outcome ever. She hasn't lost the whole 50 pounds yet, but she doesn't care, right? Because she feels confident that she knows what to do and she'll never go back. So that whole forever fat loss is really about if you can master these habits, you don't have to keep starting over all the time, right? Because that's what happens to a lot of us, right? We get started and then we stop and then we gain weight and then, you know,
I like
so
what you're saying because it really relates to something that you said earlier and something that we need across the whole spectrum of everything that's happening in life, and that is connecting with people. And it's like you can say, I took a like there's so much on the internet you can, if you want to make all this money and you got to make viral videos or this or that and these classes and people think that's what they need. It may be what they need, but ultimately I find just like you have said, it's connecting with people and finding out where they are and not just finding out where they are, but people like it when you know that they care and you really are helping
absolutely.
them. It's not a yeah, we're gonna you're gonna lose weight and you're gonna look amazing and that's where we're headed. And yeah, the encouragement is there for it and whatnot, but it's like you said, at the end of the day, what is your diet like? Somebody who really cares is going to want to know the details, like you're talking about right now. How much sugar are you taking in? What is your exercise like? And they know that you care. It's not just because you're pushing something, either like to sell. Because first of all, they're already in, and now that they're in, they need to be doing it. They need to have encouragement to do it right. I love what you're doing. This is, and as a human being and a woman, I really like you and what you're doing. I'm glad we bumped into each other, especially because you're Canadian too. That means a lot to me.
Yeah.
But as we're coming close to the end of this, I always like to ask everybody that comes on the show, and I never mentioned this to you before, so you don't get a chance to think about it. Uh, if you could change anything, whether in your life personally or something in your life, something about your business where kindness could make a difference. It could be something where it's as simple as every time you go to the grocery store, this or this happens, or it could be what you want to do with your business. It could be if you could make an impact with kindness in a way that you can do, but you haven't done it yet. What would you do? Or it could be even
Oh,
in the culture, something that maybe you think you can't do that we need that is huge. How would you answer that?
well, two things right off the top. I know, and I've been thinking about this for a while. since moving here to Chatham, right? We moved from Australia, so we haven't been around here for that long. And it's a small town, and I'm getting to know people. I'm a little bit of an introvert. I'm a little bit shy sometimes. So, but my God is telling me, and my heart is saying, I need to get out into the community and just do something like a mastermind or like an in-person weekly something for women. So I don't know
Oh,
what that looks like yet. I don't know if it's health related or what's speaking to me at the moment is just women entrepreneurs because there's a lot of them here. There's a lot of women who have businesses here. Like I went to there was a health expo a couple of weeks ago and I almost didn't go because I'm kind of like, well, a little shy. But I know I've got to get out and connect with people. And I'm so glad that I did because I met in person women that I've known on social media. So that's always awesome. And I
wow.
met this other woman who's a coach and then we had coffee and then we started talking about a mastermind. She's like, yeah, let's do it. And so, there you are. So, because I am really like, I'm passionate about the menopause and the health, but I'm really passionate about business too and the social media piece and just really like I just want to say to a lot of entrepreneurs, like just put yourself out there, right? Like
Yeah.
take more risks and show up. It's okay to show up as you are with vulnerability and authenticity. And just because social media, it's not, if you use it correctly, it's a great tool. It's for a lot of kindness and a
Yes.
lot of good can come out of like, look at us right now, right?
Yes.
So that right off the top of my head, when you said that, I was like, yep, that's it. And just like, I think sometimes and I'm guilty of this. Sometimes it's just, we're in our own head,
Oh,
we're in our
yes,
own little world and
for
we're
sure.
at the grocery store and, we're like, oh, could the person ahead of me just like move a little bit fast? Like that kind of thing. It just really just doing a check-in and just having more, uh, understanding and kindness, right? Like, maybe that person's having a really awful day, or maybe they're just in the middle of something really hard, you know?
That's a big one right
Um,
there.
yeah. And actually, I'm going to mention this because I thought of you when I got the message the other night. So I'm part of a church here, and one of the things that the women's group is doing is they're doing like I can't. They gave it a name, and of course I forgot because I'm 53 and in menopause.
Hey, you haven't had a brain surgery yet, young lady. You're not 60 like me. You got
Yeah,
a head.
but what they're doing is they're doing an anonymous partnering up. So they will give you a name of another woman. So it's not fully anonymous, but she doesn't know who I am. And it's up to me to do things like, so I know her address, right? So I could go and like just deliver
Oh, yeah,
anonymously
you got
some
to do that.
cookies or like
Yes.
send her a birthday card and she doesn't know who it's coming from, right? And I thought, what
Yes.
a great
Yes.
idea. Because there's a whole lot in there about doing that kind of kindness for
Yes.
no reward, right? Like I'm not doing it because
Now you're
I'm like,
talking
look
my
at
stuff.
me. Yeah, like look at me, I'm so good because I did this, right? They don't know. They don't know, right? So that's pretty cool. So I'm going to do
I
that.
like
But
that.
yeah,
I like that. That's fantastic.
yeah,
That is
yeah,
fantastic. This has been great. We'll have to do it again. I'd love to catch up with you and
absolutely.
as you go, and same with me because I share with you a lot of the directions I'm going in, and I'm going to be watching what you're doing, and I'm glad we connected, and it was through Joe Greenwich that we
Yeah,
did. She was on the show
absolutely.
of it was a couple months ago, and it was really really great. She's a wonderful lady, and
Yeah.
so were you. So just want to thank you for being here, and
Thank you for having me.
you're
Awesome.
welcome. Let's do it
Awesome.
again.
Yeah, for sure.